The Youth Voice Group is a consultative group whose objective is to create a link between the activities of the World Bank of Moldova and the needs and priorities of Moldovan youth. Representing the interests of the young generation and communicating with youth from the entire country, the Youth Voice Group generates new ideas and suggestions geared towards improving the World Bank's youth-related activities. In that regard, the Youth Voice Group has created a youth version of the country partnership strategy, outlining its main priorities and making it accessible for people from the entire country. The Youth Voice Group deemed the country partnership the when, where, and how of things to be done in Moldova. The main aspect that the Youth Voice Group wanted youth from the entire country to see was the World Bank's involvement in helping the Moldovan economy become competitive and helping Moldova in achieving growth, reducing poverty, developing human resources and promoting social inclusion, helping achieve efficient public administration, governance for the people, as well as involving youth in its activities. In 2009-2010, the activities of the Youth Voice Group were environmental protection, formal and non-formal education, ecotourism, anti-corruption, team building, and communication. Starting off with the environmental aspect of the Youth Voice Group's activities, our first undertaking was the Trash Earth Sphere Contest, a picture, poetry, and essay competition geared towards stimulating young children to think about the environment and realize the devastating consequences that climate change can have. A lot of entries were submitted. The Trash Earth Sphere brochure was thus created, with 500 copies printed and distributed throughout the country to universities, schools, and NGOs. Our second undertaking was the Go Green campaign, which was a straightforward, action-oriented campaign meant to involve youth from rural areas in specific nature protection actions such as cleaning rivers and setting up parks. The results were more than 250 people involved, 2 mini parks and 1 river cleaned, 3 information boards installed, an eco-information panel placed inside a park, and eco-bags disseminated. Furthermore, the Youth Voice Group, in cooperation with the WBI, took part in environmental training sessions to make Youth Voice Group members proficient climate change trainers. The Youth Voice Group later took part in the climate change training seminar held in Istanbul, Turkey, to complete their studies. The second objective of the Youth Voice Group was the information campaign on formal and non-formal education. During the campaign, youth found out about professional school advantages, college education, university study opportunities, as well as finding out the official statistics regarding the employment rate and labor market situation in Moldova. We had participants from 5 regions of Moldova, including the capital city, Chisinau. Preponderantly, we saw the number of girls being especially large in a number of areas. The Youth Voice Group created the Interactive Education Institution Virtual Map, which depicts various educational institutions from the country and allows youth to navigate through the database in an interesting manner. With regard to non-formal education, the Youth Voice Group created a list, a database of the main NGOs having different youth-oriented activities. Before the campaign, an interesting find that we've had in the capital was that the vast majority of students wanted to leave the country to study abroad, whereas after the campaign, when informed, 15% of students affirmed that they'd seriously reconsider their decision to leave, 50% said that they'd learned something new that might help them further on, and 60% of the students believed that such campaigns were beneficial and they'd want to see more in the coming year. The next aspect of the Youth Voice Group activities in Moldova was the Hidden Treasures of Moldova contest. The competition aimed to map the uncharted natural beauty of Moldova and to show the wonderful landscapes and never-before-seen beauty of the country. We had more than 300 entries, 70 contest winners, and 10 finalists that were all published in the brochure that followed the competition. The Next Station Anti-Corruption Trolleybus campaign was the very first anti-corruption campaign to be held on the streets of Chisinau City. Youth Voice Group members took to the trolleybuses to inform people about the dangers of corruption and how corruption can be avoided. Posters were placed on trolleybuses and Youth Voice Group members were actually inside the trolleys to help convince people. 5,000 people informed was a first for the Youth Voice Group by the sheer number of people impacted. Besides members handing out brochures, flyers, and speaking through the trolleybuses' loudspeakers, the Youth Voice Group also organized a number of trainings and seminars in different universities and schools of Moldova. As many as 12 educational institutions were involved. The Youth Voice Group has periodic communication trainings and capacity building activities to make sure that members are highly qualified in the areas that they cover. Communication is one of our main priorities as we have an ongoing effort to reach more and more youth. The Youth Voice Group has been featured on a number of popular Moldovan sites, had its videos broadcasted on national television, and members interviewed on public radio. Visibility materials have been distributed and a blog created for easier communication with youth from the country. The priority list for 2010-2011 remains mostly unchanged, but key modifications ensure a better adapted and more effective approach towards helping Moldovan youth achieve more and creating a bond between youth and the World Bank. Environment protection, formal and non-formal education, ecotourism and visibility will remain key aspects, whereas newly added directions such as youth employment, youth health and social inclusion come to complement those. All in all, the Youth Voice Group's activities in Moldova have been largely successful due to the very close and effective cooperation between Youth Voice Group members and the World Bank country management. With immeasurable support from World Bank staff, the Youth Voice Group was able to coordinate its activities with World Bank priorities and be successful in implementing its objectives.